have the criminal history, but I know the one that stole the purse is supposedly in the country legally. But pick the wrong person to steal first from. I mean, Secretary Noem's a strong secretary. I know I've been talking about the success of men and women of the Border Patrol and ICE, but under her strong leadership, she's a game changer. So I'm happy to work with her, despite the media I've read that me and Christy Noem have differences. Me and Christy Noem are attached at the hip. There's no daylight between us. We're both going to push the president's agenda. She's a strong secretary, and I'm glad she's in here. And I'm glad, but again, that illegal alien, pick the wrong person, steal person. I'm telling you.
Mary Margaret, go ahead.
Thank you, Karoline. I have two questions, one for Mr. Homan, one for you on the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I'd like to start with you, though, Tom Homan. This list has a very high number of sexual assaults on a child. Can you comment on that and why there's so many crimes against children committed by illegals in this country?
I don't know why. It's sick. It's the worst crime in the world when you sexually assault a child. I mean, the most innocent of us all. But that's why I made a statement that one time I was going to go to Boston, bring hell with me, and the media went crazy. Tom Homan says he's going to go to Boston, bring hell with him. I was going to bring hell to illegal aliens that rape children. There's not more of a heinous crime, and as you can see, the amount of child rapists we've arrested under this administration, that could have been arrested under the Biden administration. They were out there. They had their final orders. They were out there, but they didn't go look for them. They were too busy releasing millions of illegal aliens in this country. And the numbers prove it. The removal numbers of criminals was the lowest. ICE had the lowest number of removals in the history of ICE under Joe. At the same time, you had historic illegal immigration on the border. ICE had the lowest numbers in the history of the agency. That shows the difference between the two administrations. We're looking for every one of them. People want to know, okay, when am I going to retire for the third time? I'll retire when every public safety threat, national security threat, child rape is eradicated from this country. That's when I'll rest.
Thank you so much. And then Karoline, really quick. Alex Thompson said at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and I'm going to read his quote, "President Biden's decline and its cover-up by the people around him is a reminder that every White House, regardless of the party, is capable of deception. We, myself included, missed a lot of this story, and some people trust us less because of it." Can you comment on those remarks and whether you agree with that assessment?
I do agree with that assessment from Alex Thompson, who I understand won an award for writing a story months and perhaps years after the American people already knew that story to be true. Millions of Americans watched our mentally incompetent president struggle with his day-to-day duties of this office. We watched our country be ran into the ground as a result, and nobody in the media wanted to write about that, talk about it. There were many reporters, I will say, right-leaning reporters who did talk about that, who didn't get awards, didn't get coverage. In fact, they were lambasted for their coverage. And I remember being on President Trump's campaign, talking about Joe Biden's clear mental incompetence and being accused by people in this room of manufacturing deep fake videos, trying to persuade the public into not believing what they saw with their own eyes for many years. And I think it's about time the legacy media finally admits that was one of the greatest cover-ups and scandals that ever took place in American history, and certainly it did contribute to the decline in the trust that Americans have for the legacy media. Peter, which, by the way, is why we've made many changes to this briefing room in this White House. It's long overdue. Peter, go ahead.
Thank you. A few things. You guys arrested a Milwaukee County circuit judge for allegedly helping illegal immigrants get away. As you guys look at other judges, would you ever arrest somebody higher up on the judicial food chain, like a federal judge or even a Supreme Court justice?
Well, that's a hypothetical question. Again, I defer you to the Department of Justice for individuals that they are looking at or individual cases. But let's be clear about what this judge did. She obstructed federal law enforcement who were looking for an illegal alien in her courthouse. She showed that illegal alien the door to evade law enforcement officials. That is a clear-cut case of obstruction. You don't have to be a lawyer to understand that. And so anyone who is breaking the law or obstructing federal law enforcement officials from doing their jobs is putting themselves at risk of being prosecuted, absolutely.
You guys have at least 18 written trade proposals. We still don't know who they are from or what they contain. What is the holdup with that?
There's no holdup. We're working around the clock. The trade team is working all day. I was on the phone late last night with Secretary Lutnick. I was on the phone this weekend as well with Secretary Bessent. I mean, the entire team is working 24/7 to get these trade deals done. and I think you'll be hearing more about them this week. I don't want to get ahead of the trade team or the president in announcing potential deals, but certainly I can assure the American public that this administration is full speed ahead in cutting good and fair trade deals on behalf of the American worker.
And one more. After the president's Truth Social post, the Browns finally took Shadur Sanders. Does the president think he deserves credit for Sanders getting picked? And does he think going to the Browns is better than being undrafted?
Hey, all I will say is the president put out a statement, and a few rounds later he was drafted. So I think the facts speak for themselves on that one, Peter. We'll go to the back row in the middle, to the blonde. Yes.
Thank you, Karoline.
Hello.
President Trump has said that Secretary Hegseth will get it together. Does he think that Hegseth doesn't have it together right now?
Look, the president has made his position on Secretary Hegseth quite clear. He absolutely has confidence in the secretary's ability to lead the Pentagon. It's why he nominated him for this position. It's why the Senate voted to confirm him in this position. And look at the success that DOD has had thus far. Their successful operation against the Houthi terrorists in the Middle East. You look at the recruitment and retention levels for all branches of our armed forces are on the incline, which is exactly what this president intended to do. Secretary Hegseth has completely wiped out DEI from the Pentagon as well. And so he's going to remain focused on standing up for our war fighters, on implementing President Trump's peace through strength foreign policy agenda abroad, and the president supports him in his role. Sure.
Many are wondering how these 10 or 20 million people are working. Is there some efforts to clamp down on employment because they're working somewhere to keep staying here?
The number of worksite enforcement actions have tripled this year, and it's going to triple again. Because in sanctuary jurisdictions especially, if we can't arrest a bad guy in the safety and security of a county jail, and they're going to release them into the community, that means we go into the community. If we can't arrest them in the community, we'll arrest them at their worksite. We got to do what we got to do to arrest public safety threats. There's no sanctuary for public safety threats in this country, so worksite enforcement is going to increase even more than it already has. And another reason for worksite, the last administration stopped worksites. Where's the number one place we find victims of trafficking, victims of forced labor trafficking, and worksites? So not only are we going to enforce law on worksites, we're going to save victims of trafficking. That's another reason we've increased worksite enforcement.
Awesome. Well, go ahead, Brian. Sure. We'll take one more question.
This is for Mr. Homan. We all walk by these heinous yard signs that are along Pebble Beach. What is some of the feedback that your ICE agents are getting in the field from the community as they remove these individuals from their families, their neighborhood, their schools, or all the places in their community? What's been the reaction that your ICE agents have gotten from the people who live amongst these individuals?
The morale of ICE and Border Patrol is at all-time high because they're getting to uphold the oath they took, and they're enforcing the law. Border Patrol and the Biden administration, I met with hundreds of them. They felt like Uber drivers and tourist agents. These men and women joined the ranks of ICE and Border Patrol to enforce the law, make the community safer, and protect national security. I hear it all the time. There's a lot of people in this country who don't like me. I don't care. But when I walk to an airport, I have many people walking up to me and thank me for what I'm doing, and I'm not taking credit for anything. The success of the border and immigration enforcement is President Trump and the men and women wearing that uniform. God bless each and every one of them. But I take a pleasure in seeing it because in 40 years of doing this job, people always want to say, why are you so emotional when you testify? Why are you so emotional on network? Because if they wore my shoes for 40 years, they'd understand why I'm emotional. I've talked to little girls as young as 9 years old that were raped multiple times by the cartel members. And when you get to your knees and you talk to that little girl and everything innocent and pure has been ripped from her, when you listen to the Lake and Riley, 17 minutes, that young lady fighting for her life, don't just think, okay, a young woman died. Think of how she died, the terror that she went through, and these children that are sexually assaulted. I stood in the back of a tractor trailer and 19 dead people at my feet that baked to death. Illegal immigration is not a victimless crime. And so every sick person we take off the streets, especially child rapists, it makes this country much safer. Every illegal alien we arrest, public safety threat, one at a time makes this country safer. But I got one thing I need to say real quick before I leave.
Took your notes from you, Tom.
Take my notes from me. I'm going to read it God, I don't want any misinterpretation of what I'm reading to you. The registration requirements under 8 U.S.C. 1302. If you're illegal alien in the United States, this message is for you. You cannot hide from ICE. We're actively looking for you. Federal law requires every alien in the United States who has been present in the United States more than 30 days needs to register. For those 14 years or older, you need to be fingerprinted with the Department of Homeland Security. Federal law requires every alien in the United States to tell DHS in writing if you have a change in address within 10 days of changing that address. Failing to register with DHS and failure to tell DHS about your new address are criminal offenses, and they're going to be treated as such. Starting today. Make no mistake, if you're in the country illegally and you fail to do what the law requires, we will prosecute you, you will go to jail, then we'll deport you. Second law, penalties for failure to depart, 8 U.S.C. 1253. If you're alien inside the United States who has a final order, this message is for you. If you have a final order, the Trump administration is committed to enforcing our immigration laws, especially for those aliens who have received final orders of deportation. There are currently around 1.4 million illegal aliens who have been ordered removed but remain here in violation of the law. We will aggressively prosecute, consistent with long-standing law, those aliens for failing or refusing to depart or who takes other related actions aimed at hindering their removal. You cannot open the door, you cannot answer our questions, you cannot open your car door, you consider it to evade law enforcement. If you fail to leave the United States after receiving a removal order, we can and will issue monetary fines up to $998 a day. Evading your arrest, knowing you have a final order or removal, is a criminal offense. We will prosecute, then we'll deport you. Get your affairs in order. If you're in the country illegally, work with ICE, go to CBP 1 home app, and leave on your own. Because we have to find you, deport you, and prosecute you. You'll have a bar placed on you, and you won't come back to this country. You won't be able to come back on a visitor's visa, a tourist visa. If you have your citizen child, can't petition for you. If you're in this country, well, you get your affairs in order and work with us and get yourself removed from this country. That's what law requires, and we're going to enforce that law.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tom. You can get back to work now. Look, he's already leaving. He's got a lot to do, a lot of illegal immigrants to deport. But thanks, everyone, for joining us bright and early this morning. As I said at the top, we will do this again tomorrow to talk about the economy, which is another promise made and kept by the president. And I'll be joined by the Secretary of Treasury, Scott Bessent, 8:30 tomorrow morning. Today, the president is welcoming the Super Bowl champions, Philadelphia Eagles. If we have any Philly fans, that will be at 4 o'clock. And then the president will sign those executive orders I spoke of and a few others at 5 p.m. So we'll see you all later. Have a great day.
Thanks, Caroline.